All right, UK, it is your turn again. Survivor UK 2023 is very, very close. In fact, we have our first couple of episodes premiering this weekend on October 28th. Hopefully, this lasts for more than 2 series. But Ollie, let's start with you. So, the UK has seen Survivor before in the past. Why is now the perfect time to bring it back?
It was always the perfect time. No, I think right now, speaking from a UK perspective, I think Survivor, it's the perfect time to come back because of kind of the reinsurgent of this particular kind of like competition show is making a very much return. Like we've lost, I think in the kind of the British TV, we lost a lot of competitiveness in our game shows and in our like kind of reality shows. And I think, especially with Traitors that has just come into the UK, I think it was the perfect time to bring Survivor back. And I think I think a lot of UK fans were hungry. We were ready. We were like, we want to see Survivor come back to the UK. And I think people just heard our cries and they finally gave in. We knocked them down quite heavily.
Well, clearly the hype is back for this new series. Ollie, would you say the temperature in the UK right now is very excited for this?
Yes, from fans that like UK fans, we are so excited. Like this is something we've been waiting for ages because obviously I think once we saw Australian Survivor come back, like UK fans that have been fans since before like lockdown or whatever, we were ready. So yeah, I'm excited. I think you can tell, like Matt, I've been excited for this for like the last 2 months.
I mean, we should probably get straight into it then. So, just wanted to give a little warning for everyone who is watching right now. Basically, the preseason interviews that were released to introduce the new cast to us were basically kind of post-season interviews. Now, I do want to be clear: no one is saying I'm excited for you to see me win, or I can't believe I got voted out at this point. I want to be clear: those type of spoilers are not in these interviews. However, there are some details that may lead some to the conclusions of placements for some of these castaways. So I just wanted to give that warning. Ollie and I both have no idea how anyone does on this season. We're going to give you our honest reactions to what these castaways have said, but I did just want to give you that warning. If you want to avoid all spoilers, I totally get it. Survivor Now podcast is going to be covering this entire season, so make sure that you check us out and all of our videos to come. We have our episode recaps that are going to be coming out on Wednesdays, which is going to be really cool and exciting. And I understand. So let's go ahead and get right into it and see who was cast in place of Ollie on this season of Survivor.
That part.
All right. First up, we are going to start with Ashley. All right. So Ashley is from London, and Ashley suffers from imposter syndrome, she says in her interviews. And I just want to raise my hand and say, like, that is so real. And I appreciate bringing more awareness to this. And I'm excited to see what Ashley does on this season. I mean, Ollie, what are your initial impressions?
So when I first saw the cast, first of all, it sounds bad. I'm rooting for everyone. Sorry, I'm a loyal Brit. I'm going to root for everyone in some kind of way. But with Ashley, sorry, I'm excited. She's a brand strategist, which obviously the name's in the title, strategist. She's got that type of role that she has to think about she's got to do the research on what other things are doing so that she can have the best possible chance. And I think that kind of work is really good for Survivor. And reading the bio, I think she's going to do well. I'm hopeful for her. I think she's going to do well, and I'm excited to see what she does. And I think as well, she mentioned in her bios that, I believe it, yes. So she suffers from celiac disease, which, if people don't know, it's kind of an intolerance to gluten and a lot of those. But I think she's gonna prove that. Like, I think that's gonna come across on the show. But I think she's going to prove a lot of people wrong, and I feel like she's going to be someone that we don't see coming, and that's what I'm excited for with her.
So you're expecting sort of an unassuming presence on the show from Ashley. I mean, some things that really stuck out from her interview that I really enjoyed seeing. She does want to play this sort of subtle game, right?
Mm.
Steering from behind. It's a great strategy on Survivor. However, one thing that we're going to see throughout our entire cast analysis is that a lot of people this season sort of want to fall into that position as well. And we know when everyone wants to be that position, only one person really can.
I'm so sorry. That is probably such a British thing. Like, we're all just like, we're just gonna let someone else do it. Like, we'll be the person behind. So yeah, I can get that because I saw so many people had said that. I'm kind of just I'm blanketing over that because obviously, like you said, not everyone's going to be able to do it. It's going to be who successfully is able to. Do I think Ashley is? I think she has a good chance to. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley talks about being highly self motivated, has a lot of resilience, which is incredible attributes for a game like this. She talks about being determined and looking for ways to improve, right? I love that. Using your setbacks and failures. We had Heidi from Survivor 44 on our Survivor US recap yesterday, and we talked all about how you can use your failures in the game as strengths.
Hmm.
And I think I'm hoping that we see a lot of that from Ashley, but we also see that she's excited for the puzzles. So
Yes.
hopefully, we need someone who's good at puzzles, especially during those first couple of challenges as a team.
Yeah, that wouldn't be me.
Other than that, I think I could see Ashley going pretty far in this. And yeah.
Yeah, I currently I didn't do like a full 1 to 18. I have Ashley right now kind of merge. I
Mhm.
have her right now. I do actually have her kind of mid to late merge. I think she's going to be a dark horse. I don't know what it is. It's that smile. She's got that British smile. So, but then she's with a load of Brits. So we'll see how that goes.
We have this quote from Ashley saying, again, like you said, brand strategist, open to and loves every opportunity to live life to the fullest and to challenge and push myself. So let's see if Ashley is able to do that on this season. Next, we have someone who I am particularly excited to see, and that is Christopher. Christopher, a singer songwriter, wanted to be a contestant on Survivor because I wanted to take myself out of my comfort zone and face my fears. Again, these are quotes from the interviews. Christopher is interesting because I'm sort of potentially getting like a villain vibe. I don't know if it's just the photo, right?
Mm,
And the outfit that he's currently in. It could be that. Again, we're
it's
going
the
off of
leopard print.
it's the leopard print. We're going off of first impressions. But he did say something in his interviews that I'm going to try to find right now about how he intends to take his strategy, which is adapt
Mm.
and make moves when needed, which I think is important.
Yes. I think when I read that, I knew that he had a very adaptable brain because it's one of those, it's a fluidity thing. And I think he looks like he's going to play a very fluid game. I personally am very excited for Christopher. He's a singer-songwriter, performer, got a rep for the performers. And also, this is just from my perspective, as soon as kind of things were announced and stuff, he's been very like big about it, like watch it. So that's been something that his enthusiasm for the show, and also the fact that he was one of the few people that we didn't talk, but he did at me and say like, let's get a watch party going. So I'm still,
Aw.
Christopher, if you're watching this, we will try. Um, but no, I do think he's gonna. I think he might be a little bit villainous, but I think he's definitely in the first part of the game. I think he's going to be there for the tribe because I don't know if you've seen any of the promo videos. It's definitely looking like he is a strong team player and he's doing a lot of the grunt work because there is one particular challenge that I've seen that I am very much looking forward to that I've seen Christopher do. There's a promo shot of him doing it. So
Oh, okay, interesting. I will say the one thing that I feel like has been lacking from the advertisements that have been online is the I feel like there's been a lack of promos. And for example, I love hearing the castaways who all, again, at the beginning of the game, before the game has even started, I wish that there were some preseason
Mm.
interviews where we could hear them speak about their own games, also get some name pronunciations, I think would be great. But we're really just going off of basically their impressions of their game after they've already played it. So it's really interesting about this. I think with Christopher, something that I'm really excited to see is how he goes and plays that mental game, right? I think you sort of touched upon this, but he says that he's particularly excited for some of these things and tapping into a place where you will either keep going or crumble.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for it with him especially. I feel like he is going to get you hyped for the show. I think I don't know what it is. I feel like he's going to be a character. I sense a character. Again, I've put him kind of mid merge. I think he's going to make merge. He seems like that type. You know, when you look at a cast and you kind of see that one person, you're like, okay, but I mean, again, that kind of makes sense. Like we said, he's a singer-songwriter. He's a performer. He knows when to bring the performance. But I will say, as a performer, you also know when to hold back. So I'm hoping
Hmm.
that's what he shows as well. I'm hoping he's able to do that balance of coming out when I need to, then dipping back when I need to.
What a fantastic point. I hope that Christopher is going to be able to do that. I mean, he says at this stage in his life, he says that this is exactly the right time for him to be out there playing the game. So I'm expecting a lot from him and just excited to see where he ends up. You talked about people being a character on the show. There's one person who is coming up, not next, but almost coming up that I can't wait to talk about. But let's just keep going so we can get there. Next up, we have, I believe this is Doug.
Yep.
All right. What are your impressions of Doug?
I like Doug. I feel like I'm going to be liking everyone, but no, I like Doug because you mentioned it previously that the last time Survivor was on in the UK, it was in 2002, so over 20 years ago. But in his kind of interview, he mentioned how he remembers vividly watching the
Mhm.
original UK Survivor back in 2002. To me, it's a tick because he already knows what he's signing up for. So he kind of has it in his brain. He's like, okay, I know the gist of what's about to happen. I feel like he is definitely going to be a strong support for his tribe. And I think the tribe that he's on, I think he looks like the type who'll get along with them. So I think I'd be very shocked to see him be an early out. But you never know. He's a wild card. I'm really excited for him, but there is also this part of me that's like, I don't know how you're going to do. And I feel like once we get into the season, I'm going to know how he's going to do.
I mean, he's definitely going to be hard to miss because he is 6'4". There is no hiding for Doug, and I think my prediction is that first of all, I have my eyes on him. I have my eyes on him as a potential winner or as a potential finalist. I'm just going to say
Mm,
it right now. He gives some great responses as to his strategy within the exit interviews. And basically, like you said, Ollie, making himself indispensable member of
yeah.
his tribe during the early stages of the game. But now the biggest thing that he might have to look out for are people who are going to target him
Mm,
around the merge when it becomes an individual game, because suddenly it's not a team thing anymore. So I think he's going to have to look out for that. But I think based on what you already said, Doug seems like he's prepared to
yeah.
play.
Yeah. And even in his strategy, when he took, because obviously one of the questions for the viewers is, did you have a strategy of how you were going to play the game? And one of his responses to that was first, he wanted to establish himself as an indispensable member of the tribe,
Hmm.
as you said. But the second part was he wanted to find himself a shield player. And I want to mention specifically how he and says it a shield player. That is someone that knows survivor strategy. because even just how he said it, because you talk about it, oh, I just want to find someone, I can hide behind and do that. He specifically said a shield player, so he knows the type. My only worry with that is he should know that going into the game, he's a very strong guy. He's a big lad. He's probably going to be a shield for someone's already going to be looking at
Oh
him
yeah.
going, he could be a shield. So
Yes.
it's whether or not he turns that around and goes, okay, I'm going to be the shield, but deflect it to make sure this people know who I'm being the shield for, or tries to find a shield player. But yeah, I think again, it's those little things that make me go, I need to find out. I need to watch the first couple of episodes to see what's going to happen.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And the thing that I actually loved that he did say about this strategy was not only is he going to find someone who could be his shield, if that person doesn't exist, he says he's going to create a shield for
Yes.
himself. And that choice of words in instead of finding but to create one, I just think is going to be something really special and I hope we
Mm.
actually do see something like that happen. I think that's the more interesting story when it comes to a season of Survivor, right?
Mm.
We're going to find that a lot of the players we are going to talk about later have actually never seen the show or don't really know all of the ins and outs about what they are in for. So it is sort of going to be interesting to see how Doug handles himself in a game, and actually how all of the fans of the game are going to handle themselves with people who may not be as exposed to it. So it's going to be interesting. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next player. And our next player is Hannah. All right. Hannah is a footballer from London. So, off the bat, I instantly know Hannah is going to be competitive. And
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. I don't think you can become like a semi pro. I think Hannah said semi pro.
Yeah.
I don't think you can become a semi pro football player and not be competitive.
You can't do any sport without being competitive. So I know right off the, especially with football, because of how big football is in the UK, that's just an indication of she's coming in and being competitive. Um, I am rooting for Hannah, but I'm not sure. There's just something here niggling. I think she could. I don't know what it is. From reading her bio and seeing kind of the trailers and stuff, I think she is gonna do. I think she has got a really good shot of doing well. I do think she could be blindsided though. I feel like she's got something about her that I just look at and it worries me because I think from what I read in the bios, I think she's got something good. I think she's going to be a good player, but I do feel like she's going to be like a big blindside. I don't know
She's
what
in
it
my top
is.
5. She's in my top 5 of people who I think are going to do well. I mean, something that
Mm,
instantly sticks out to me, Hannah's had a very similar experience in terms of, how we both found the show, which was that, in the lockdown, Hannah got really, became obsessed with Survivor during it, and I think that that's a yes?
I was a fan before lockdown. Hold up.
Yeah, so what? I don't think it matters when you
No.
find the show Survivor, but as someone who also I knew of Survivor, I've watched
Mm,
Survivor before lockdown, but lockdown is when I got like really invested in it. And to see someone come in with that similar story is always someone I'm going to be intrigued by. And I'd really like to see Hannah do well on this season. I think Hannah has some really good qualities that she is trying to bring into the game, which are being a strong player, but also bringing in that positive energy, that authenticity, and those social skills to have to really set her up for a good gameplay with
mm,
her tribe and into the merge. Um, I think tough to say now if Hannah is going to be the victim of a blind side, but that's really
yeah.
interesting.
It's just like it's again. I don't know. It's just one of those feelings. I think it's like you said. I think she knows that, like she knows the game. Um, so I don't know. And again, I think it comes from trailers and seeing how people have reacted. But I just, I want her to do well. So I currently do still have her in merge. She does make merge for me, but I still have this feeling that like she could be this big blind side that like changes the game. But either way, I think she's going to be a player, and I'm again, like I said, I'm rooting for her.
Bandit in the chat says
Okay.
Hannah is your winner pick. Amazing choice.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm so curious to see what Hannah brings. I also wanted to point out with Hannah being competitive, she says she doesn't want to be underestimated physically, which I think is interesting. So I'm wondering if she's
Mm.
going to be honest with her tribe about her profession as a semi-pro footballer.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if you were on my tribe and I heard the like semi-pro football, I'd be like, okay, she's athletic. Like, she definitely is competitive and she is a strong like physical player. So that's interesting to see like who would underestimate her. Whether that's what's happened in her life, which we could find out during the show, but hmm.
Yeah. All right. Uh, Hannah is in my top 5. I haven't figured out my placement of my top 5. Like I don't have a winner pick yet. I'm always the type of person, to be honest, cast assessments, I don't even get half the time. I like seeing the first 3 episodes because that really puts into perspective who's going to go far, at least in my
Yeah,
eyes. So, Hannah, I'm rooting for you and I'm excited to see you on the season. Next on our list, we are going to get Jess.
Jess.
All right. So Jess's responses, what I noticed is that they're not as long as some
No.
of the players that we've seen before, which does make me worried for Jess.
Mm. It was very just to the point.
Be true to
Um,
myself and follow my heart and my gut
yeah,
instincts.
yeah. So I am a little worried. Um, Yeah, I don't know. Because this is the thing. The only thing, because we didn't get intro videos, all we've got is what we've had here, and like what we've had in the bios on the Wikipedia and trailers. Um, and the only thing I see of her, I believe it is Jess that is talking to Tanuki. I really hope I'm saying her name right. Tanuki, if you're in the chat, please tell me if I'm saying your name right. Um, But yeah, I have a feeling she's going to be an early out. I just again, we don't get a lot of HL agrees. I don't know. I hope she does well. She seems so sweet and lovely. Like just that cast photo, like it. She looks so sweet. Obviously, it doesn't look like it looks sweet. I look at it and I'm like, she's so sweet and nice. And then I remember the game of Survivor and I'm like, is she going to get swallowed? Like, is she going to get swallowed up on like the strategy and that aspect? I'm still going to root for her, still love her. Everyone I love. But yeah, I'm just not sure.
It's a possibility, right? It is a
Mm.
possibility that Jess can sort of be lost in the shuffle. I will say I don't think there is anything wrong with being an early out as long as you feel that you played your best game, right? I think that that is a really important distinction because I let's face it, if you're not there to win, what are you there for? So I even think whether you're first out, whether you're third out, whether you're out somewhere in the merge, I don't think it matters unless you don't make it, unless you make it to that final tribal to
Yeah.
fight for that $100,000, 100,000 pounds, excuse me. So, right. So let's see how Jess does. I
Mm.
think the be true to myself and follow my heart strategy, it's nice. I don't think that's necessarily uh what do you think, Ollie? Do you think that that is a strategy to be yourself? Because I feel like everyone should go into it being
Yeah.
themselves.
I, again, this is some like I'm talking as someone who is a really big fan of the show and has had to go on so many legal websites to watch the US version and obviously other ones for the Australian version. Um, I I agree with you. I think you just have to go out there and be yourself regardless because at the end of the day, that's what got you cast. But do I think it's a strategy? It's not the strongest strategy. But again, we've seen people that have gone on to the show and been themselves and let the dice fall and they've come out on top. So there is also that.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a story where someone comes into the game of Survivor with low expectations about how it's actually done. I think
Yeah.
we'll talk a little bit more about that. There's one person in particular where we got to talk about
I
coming in
feel
prepared.
I feel like
And
I know who you're talking about.
right. I like this. I like the idea of someone going in there having no
Yeah.
expectations and then like working their way to the end and figuring it out along as they go. I think that's a fun story and a good
Mm.
underdog arc. So we'll see if Jess is able to get it. But now we got to talk about someone who I think is going to be a huge personality, and and that is Lawrence. So so with Lawrence, um, his responses to his interview questions, it was like I could hear him. The amount of detail he went into, the types of phrases that he said, I felt like I could hear who he was already. And I'm so excited to see Lawrence on my TV screen. I think this is going to be very interesting.
I'm excited.
Hmm.
Sorry, I just wanted to copy. No, from reading his responses, I think again, I said it similar to Christopher. I think he's going to be a very big character. Because let me find it. There was one thing that really drew me to. I was when when the cast first came out, I was a bit unsure, and then I read something, and I was very much here for him. Because guys, I'm going to say now, go on the wiki, like when you go on the Wikipedia and see what they've written, like I think he's written the most. So it's trying to find the specific. But
Oh, yeah.
he talked about here it is. It was again, it's the strategy. My aim was to play the role of harmless buffoon or village idiot,
Hmm.
and I think that in itself, with the UK especially, you have something. There is something. I like to believe there is something called British charm, and it's playing on that kind of goofy wit that we have. And from what I've seen, I actually do think Lawrence has that, and I think he's going to be able to kind of, arm and a leg, chuckle, chuckle, and get really far. And I feel like there's someone that this is just a prediction. There is someone I feel like he could go like that with, but I'll wait. Because it coincides with something someone else said. So that's where I look at it. But I'm very excited for him. I think he's going to be irreverent. I
Mm.
think that's the right word.
I can see this going one of two ways for Lawrence. On the one hand, you're right. There's that British charm. I think that he has a very high likelihood of being able to assume that position that he wants to in the game, which is sort of that unassuming, he says in quotes, buffoon of the tribe. I think he's going to be a little bit of a jokester. But I
Yes.
think what's also so compelling about Lawrence is the fact that he grew up in Costa Rica. He is familiar with the geography, the flora and fauna. I would love to have him on my
Mm,
tribe. But the other way I could see this going for him is unfortunately if people find him annoying.
mm. Yeah. I think it's going to. I think the marooning and the first couple of days are really going to determine how Lawrence does. Because if, like you said, if he does really get under people's skin, and if it is this thing of, if he becomes a know-it-all, because I think there's a difference between, oh, I have this knowledge, let's see what I can do with it, instead of I have this knowledge, listen to me, da da da.
Hmm.
Then it could twist out of his favor. But I have a feeling it won't. I think he'll use it, and he'll be like, "Oh, guys, like I did live it." Like I think he'll be open and honest and say, "Guys, I lived in Costa Rica. Oh, actually, I remember that plant." And I think with Brits, we're if someone knows something and we're in an environment when we don't know, we will appreciate it. So I'm hoping his tribe appreciate it, and then he, buffoons his way deep into the game. So,
I mean, I think it would actually kind of be also really funny if he doesn't want to be as open with his tribe about how much knowledge he actually has about his surroundings. I think it
mm,
would be funny if he put on the role of like pretending to be bad at island life and just like see what happens, or
yeah.
have people be surprised by how good he actually is. I think that would be interesting.
Mm,
I have to applaud him also. He said in his interviews that he had never watched a single full episode of Survivor, but what he did do was absorbed Survivor highlights and strategy reels on YouTube.
Yes.
I mean, I think I understand there's one thing you kind of touched on it before, Ollie, where there were two series of Survivor that premiered in the UK that w- there was nothing after that. From I
Yeah.
think in like 2002 it ended.
Yeah.
So we have over 20 years of not really be able to have the game of Survivor as accessible, I would say, in the UK. There I know the Australian version is available on some platforms as well,
Yeah.
but it's kind of I imagine it's kind of hard, especially to watch the original, the US version. So, I think having someone who says, "Okay, I may not be able to watch full episodes, but there's tons of resources online. There are articles, there are interviews, there are, those highlight reels,"
Yeah.
right? I think it's really important to study and see other people's gameplays.
I think that's really resourceful as well. Because I know if I was someone that didn't know anything about the show, I'd got on it. I'd want to see what I can find out about it to give myself the best preparation. So I think that was smart of him to do. So I applaud. Well done.
And he says he's gonna miss his lip balm while he's on the island, and I relate to that. So good luck to you, Lawrence. Let's move on. Next person, we have Lee. Let's get Lee on the screen. There's Lee.
Lee.
I'm nervous for Lee.
Mm, I am as well. I think I think I said this similar. I think he's got the physical part down,
Hmm.
but I don't know about kind of the strategy. I think when I look at Liam, when I kind of read his interview, when I read his bio, and I see what I've seen in terms of promos, don't get a lot. So I think in terms of strategy, he could get swallowed up, but I believe he's also someone that didn't really see the show. I think he is, if I'm looking correctly, I don't think he had seen the show. So I think he's someone that definitely could go against him, just because, again, because he's a professional boxer, and it could just be physical, 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 and then the strategy gets left at the door. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping to be surprised and Lee is this really strategic player. I just don't know yet.
Well,
Yeah. Sorry, you go.
I mean, he went in saying his strategy was to be himself and perform well in challenges. And I feel like again, we see that so many times through a lot of these interviews. Um, I think the one thing that's interesting is if you are the type of person that likes to read into the clues we are given before the season, or you like
Mm,
to read into the edit, um, it is fascinating to see who is able to speak about their strategy in more bulleted terms
mm,
because tip in my head, the people who have their strategy all lined up in these exit interviews or these introductory exit interviews, oh, it's so weird. I think those are the people who have had to explain their strategy, hint, hint.
mm.
So just kind of keeping that in mind. With Lee, I'm not getting much strategy. I think you're right. I think there's going to be a reliance on the physical aspects of the game, which is all great. And I think that's really important. I'm sure he's going to help his team get to some victories or at least get close. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing with Lee that I really want to highlight, and I'm not sure how Lee means this, but I think it's important to talk about. Where Lee says some of the things he says in his interviews are he's excited for the Irish and British public to see him as his authentic self, right? So he's excited for an audience, and then also there's a thing at the end of his interview. He loved being a part of the iconic show
Yeah.
and being within the world of TV. And when I see someone comment on things like the world of television and the world of
Mm,
TV, it goes one of two ways for me. One, it TV is a very exciting field to be in. And if you're not familiar with what it's like to be on a set or what it's like to be surrounded by cameras and lights, it's all very exciting. So I
mm,
understand that part of it. But what makes me nervous is when people go on to television shows and reality shows, Survivor especially, with the main goal of building more of a following or building more of an audience. And I don't want to presume that about Lee. I've
Mm.
never met him again, but I think that this, by seeing these points, it does strike a nerve that I would
Mhm.
like to bring up when it comes to reality television casting as well. Again, it can be one of those two things. He could just genuinely mean it, I've never been in the world of television before, and it was so cool to see. I get that, but
Yeah.
I think it's important to talk about casting and, what are your priorities with getting onto a show like Survivor?
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because for me, and again, I'm not going to defend all Brits on this. I think people hear Survivor and they see on a desert island. Obviously, we have the lovely Bear Grylls, so we've grown up with Bear Grylls that does all the adventure shows. We grew up with Sir David Attenborough, who is our nature granddad, national treasure. So I want to say that everyone knows that Survivor, it's going to be something that you're not going to go on there to try and like get the followings. If he wanted to do that, Big Brother was open in auditions, easier option. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say no. I wanted to take that as he wanted to really show everyone what he was made of, and especially being a boxer.
Hmm.
It's just I want to take it as he's wanting to show himself as Lee the human, not just Lee the boxer.
And I love that. And I'm very excited to see that be the case with Lee. Again,
Yeah.
something to think about when people who are interested in applying to these type of shows. Like, at the end of the day, it is competition first, and shows. Debatably, let's say it depends on the season.
Depends on the
uh,
things.
yes. Let's move over now to Leilani. Here we go.
Yes.
Here's Leilani. Another person I'm nervous for.
Yes.
And Leilani, here's some things that I'm excited for. Leilani's at a place in her life where they're at a crossroads, right? And it was time to sort of look for a new direction. And I think that's a very exciting time to enter a game like Survivor and to
Mm.
see what you're made of. So that I'm pretty excited for. But Leilani hasn't watched Survivor and
No.
specifically says didn't realize there was a psychological aspect to the game. Hmm.
Yes. I am nervous. I actually, when I first saw all the photos, I wasn't sure. And then I kind of saw the photos, started reading, and something definitely did endear me to Leilani. I was very much rooting for her. Because again, what qualities did you think you'd brought to the game? That was one of the questions. I loved her response. Tongue-in-cheek humor, general immaturity and ignorant bliss. Love that. Like, absolutely love that. And then mixed with lots of love, cuddles, and unity. Like, love it. But yeah, you're right when she spoke about the psychological aspect. Because again, that's what I think a lot of people, especially with this reboot season, if people haven't watched the show, they're not going to know of that psychological aspect that, especially when you make it really deep into the game, that becomes such a pivotal part. Um, so that does worry me for her. And as well, I saw in one of the promos, there is a clip and it's a literally clip like that and it's her
Mhm.
crying. So whether it's that aspect, um, but I'm still rooting for her. She is one of our older ladies, but I think she's going to go out there and she's going to enjoy the experience, and that's what I'm looking forward to. She seems like the type that is going, like I think everyone is, but her especially. I think she's going to enjoy this experience and really take a lot out of it.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. And I think something that proves that point as well is in her interview. I mean, she's saying that she's going to be very comfortable with the beach life and the tribe
mm,
life, which not a lot of people are saying in these interviews. So I think that that is a really big pro
yeah,
in her favor. Let's say she doesn't go in with like a huge strategy in mind. Being able to prepare yourself mentally to be living in those conditions is like a great starting point.
yeah. The fact that you can be okay with, sleeping on the floor, sand everywhere, bugs crawling all over. If you can be fine with that, then you can get ready with the rest of the aspects of the game.
Mm-hmm. Leilani, let's see how you do. Again, I'm all for that storyline of someone who is not familiar with the game, like learning on the go. I think that's actually
Hmm.
gonna. I think that would be very entertaining. So yeah, here we go. Next person we have is Matthew.
Matthew. I wonder if you're going to root for someone called Matthew.
I mean, let's see. Let's see from his responses if he is rootable. I
Hmm.
do like that he says that he has a glass half full perspective on
Yes.
life. I think that is incredibly important. And again, it goes into having that right mindset in a game like Survivor. And he says he has some cool party tricks up his sleeve. So I hope he is able to
Hmm.
entertain the who was the singer? Was it Christopher?
Yes.
So like Christopher can sing, and then like Matthew can do like he says he can juggle knives. I hope that he can like juggle coconuts or something. Like that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
That would be funny. Um, I am in two things with Matthew. A lot of people I am. On my little thing, I have him as a wild card.
Hmm.
And I don't want this to sound bad, but a big part of it is due to his age. Because I don't know if a lot of people have realized this. This is a very much kind of average wise, it is an older cast because we only have two people that are under 25, and Matthew is one of them.
Hmm.
Um, so he's already going to have the battle of he's going to be looked at as the baby. And whether he kind of treats that as it depends on how other people are going to treat it. There is part of me rooting for him, but I it's similar to Doug. I need to see how he does within the first couple of episodes to determine how I think he's going to do. But I think he's got such a good spirit and enthusiasm for the game, which makes me excited. Like I've said, I'm excited for everyone, but there's different reasons why I'm excited. But I definitely feel like he's going to go out there and really enjoy and have a good time because he technically is it Gen X? What's one's because he was
Uh,
born
21. He's 21. He's probably Gen Z.
Gen Z. So he's one of our Gen Zers. So he's obviously going to have a completely different outlook than other people. So I'm excited for it. I'm going to root for him. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. I need to see.
I feel like Matthew has the potential to go far.
Mm,
In what role, right? Like in what
yeah,
role that may be. It, who's to say? I think that's where the wild card aspect of Matthew comes in for me. I
yeah,
think he has the strategy of going in there with the presumption that people are going to underestimate him. And if that plan goes through like that, then I can see him being prepared for that is a great thing. But
yeah.
he also says he's adaptable.
Mm.
So I'm going to be paying attention to Matthew,
Yeah, and again, that also makes sense because he is in hospitality, which
right?
you have to be, depending on what his role in hospitality is, you have to be very social and you have to be very adaptable. Um, so, yeah, and I agree with you. I need to see what role he takes in order to see how he does because I think he could do well. It just depends on what role he takes.
Yeah, exactly. And like by role, I think you and I are both meaning when we get to final 6 or final 5,
Hmm.
the edits of these shows show each player in a different light with some
Yeah,
games being stronger than others. So I
yeah.
think that's what we're more insinuating here.
Hmm.
And I think I mean, I'm curious to see how people are going to take to Matthew's energy on camp. He said something like he loves jumping from heights and swimming, that those are sort of the challenges that he's
Perfect.
looking forward to. And I feel like that kind of energy will carry over into camp life. So it'll be
Mm.
cool.
There's a fearlessness which is exciting, especially in Survivor. You want that. You want
Yeah.
someone that's just going to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Next person we need to talk about is Nathan. Here we go.
Let me get him up again.
Nathan. Okay. Something that I really love is in the interviews, he believes in continuous improvement.
Mm,
And I think Ashley also made reference to not getting defeated in our darkest times and sort of learning from them. I think that's a wonderful mindset, and I'm excited to see that from Nathan. Going into the game, knowing that there are going to be areas for improvement at all
mm,
stages of the game, I think is such a leg up on the competition. So
okay.
I'm eager to see how that works for him. I think, let me just read this quote. When I reflect on when I've grown the most, it has always been on the back of significantly challenging times. And I think Nathan being able to go into this game and use uh, this mindset for the game is going to be really exciting to see.
Mm. I mean, you look at his muscles, like physical game down. My first thought is, could he be the shield player for Doug? Hmm. Hmm. But the other thing is, I think you're right in the sense. I think he's definitely going to show, because on paper he looks like the big physical player. I think he's going to be able to show more than that. I think he's definitely got a mindset about him which I think is really going to work in Survivor. So I am definitely excited to see how he does. I do think he's going to do well. I think it depends on how this season goes and how people kind of vote, because I think if they do a big thing of kind of tribe strength, we need like the strongest players, he's going to go far. But if we do see the insurgent of strategy and go, okay, well, there's this quality, but there's this quality that really makes him a threat, that could be his downfall. But I think he's going to do well, and I want to see. I'm intrigued to see his personality, because I don't think we've really seen it in the promos. I'm hoping there is more than just kind of the fitness instructor, and I think there is. I really
There
have.
definitely is.
Yeah, there definitely is. I think, and I don't mean to say that he's not got a personality. Sorry if anyone thought that. I'm hoping to see so much more layers of Nathan, which is what I'm excited to see from him.
Again, we barely got anything from any of these castaways in the
Yeah.
promos themselves. They were much more like action shots, a couple of shots at tribal council,
Hmm.
but I was looking to see if Nathan had mentioned anything about finding a shield himself. He hasn't. He wants to be an asset to his tribe and build strong relationships.
Mm.
And I'm going to be keeping my eyes on Nathan as well. He says he's a competitive person, which I'm excited to see. And he wants to showcase what he can do, and I think that's
Yeah.
really exciting. But like you said, I hope he doesn't accidentally paint a target on his back.
Yeah.
He also said the main thing that he was going to miss was his toothbrush. And again, like the lip balm, totally with you there. I would not like that as well. Oh
There's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a stick.
I, we see that all the time. There's something
So
you can
all the
use
time,
on the
yeah.
island. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, Nathan, good luck to you. Next up, we are going to be talking about Pegleg.
Peg leg.
All right, a surf school owner.
Mm.
And life experience as a 54-year-old, this is a quote from him, life experience as a 54-year-old, a Gen X attitude for just getting on with it and not whining and moaning about the hardship of it all. I'm curious to see how he gets on with some of the younger tribe members.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to say this now. I'm always here for a Gen X attitude, because I've grown up with that mentality of you get on with it and you do it. And if you want to moan in private. He is also, I do believe, the first UK survivor to be a only have one leg. Um, so I'm really excited to see how that navigates the game. My brain glitched for a second. He's definitely, you see him as soon as we saw him on the cast. It was like, there is a character, like there is someone that is here, and you're going to remember him. I think what was interesting was one of the questions was, what did you learn from being on the show? And it was was actually my favorite response out of everyone.
It's good.
It's, what did he learn from being on the show? I can bite my lip and not tell people just how stupid they are. It's the valuable lesson, but that does also worry me because it's, did he say the wrong thing? I'm hoping I'm hoping he goes far. I think it's just, it would depend on how his if he told too many people how stupid they were. That would be my only worry for him.
Well, it doesn't seem like he has. He wants to try to play that Mr. Middle of the Road. I do wonder if we're going to see some sort of a storyline play out where Pegleg and another castaway butt heads. I do wonder if that's going to happen. I'm excited to see his confessionals.
Yes.
I'm really excited to see.
I think he is very much, he's not going to hold back on his confessionals. And also, one thing I didn't mention this before, his necklace is literally what we use to put our washing on the line with.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm like, love it. Why?
That I'm actually very excited. That's a good look. I hope more people, more of his fans take on that style. I think that looks really awesome.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't notice that.
It just identifies him. I saw it this morning because I was proper looking at everyone's cast photos and I went, that's a clothes hanger. What?
Did you notice also he said that he built a couple of the challenges in his garden and doubled his training routine? I'm like, all right, very, you know what? There are resources and you can do what you got to do to prepare. And he's excited for the obstacle courses, which is going to be fun to see.
I'm so excited. And also I'll give him credit because he was the one with, if anyone sees the promos, he was the one with the British Speedo. So again, well done. Well done.
Excited to see it. Next up, we are going to talk about Rachel. Here's Rachel.
First of all, my favorite outfit. Like because we obviously a couple of weeks ago for Survivor US, we were talking about everyone's outfits. Yes to the outfit, because she was like, do you know what? I'm competing on a show in an island, but I'm going to look good while doing it. So kudos. After that, she's one of those people. She's my third kind of in the wild card area. I need to see how she does in the first couple of episodes to see how she'll do. I'm not sure, but I'm rooting for her.
You know, she has a strong why for being out there. I mean, not only does she describe herself as adventurous and strong and outdoorsy, sporty, someone who likes a challenge, but she also says that she wants her children to know that not having a dad around does not mean that one parent isn't enough. And I think I'm hoping we get to hear more of that on the show. I think that is something we rarely hear on television, someone's experience talking about that. So really excited to hear that story more. And putting your mind to it can get it done, right? Like anything can be achieved if you put your mind to it. She says something kind of similar to Pegleg a little bit, which she says, my life experience has already given me a lot of the mental strength and coping mechanisms that I need to get through. And Pegleg had that same sentiment where he said, I'm good to go. I'm ready to be on the island. So I'm really excited to watch Rachel throughout this season. The only mark, again, the question about strategy, we got, I'm going to be open, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be myself. And again, it could work, right? You sometimes in Survivor, you have to find your strategy when you get there. But having some idea of how you are going to approach the game or what your ideal position is, I think is a big factor and something that sort of separates the haves from the have-nots in this game.
Yeah. I really hope she is able to adapt and build on a strategy, because I kind of, as we said, I think as more as the cast assessment has been going on, I do feel like I want to change just a slight opinion on being yourself and all that, that can get you to somewhere, but it can't take you all the way. It can get you to a certain point, and then you have to be able to build on that. So I'm hoping she can. I do hope that she is someone that people. I think she's going to be underestimated, and I think if she's able to prove them wrong, she's going to do well. Sorry, I had a thing in my throat. But I think she's going to do. I really hope she's going to prove people wrong and kind of show that. Do you know what? I have got this. Here you go. That's the kind of energy I'm getting from her, which I'm excited to see.
Yeah, me too. And I think we're going to get a storyline. She says, something that she learned about from being on the show is needing to stop putting everyone else's needs before my own. So I'm curious what that might be insinuating to
Yeah.
when we see camp life. So
Mm.
let's move on to our second Rachel of the day. We have Rach, which I have to ask, do you think whose idea do you think it was? Do you think this is genuinely a nickname for Rach here? Or do you think that the producers were like, one of you's got to be Rach?
I want to say yes, because she is from Glasgow. She's obviously up in Scotland. And this is my only personal experience. I've heard more. There are a couple of Rachels I know that are from Scotland, and I do know that a lot. I have had a couple of times them always being referred to Rach. So I want to say yes.
Are you reading the quote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, Rach has said that she hasn't watched Survivor until the start of this year. So that's very recent. And Rach watched the Australian series, which, you know what? Really not a bad series to watch, especially if you need to watch Survivor in a short amount of time. I think that Rach, it has its moments, but I think having to watch only, let's say, a maximum of 5 or 6 series, I think watching Australian Survivor is a great crash course.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was saying that in the sense of, because we know that Australian Survivor is a lot longer than US Survivor. So that was why I did that. But I do remember seeing that, and it gave me hope because she knows the game. Obviously, we know that she has an idea of how the game is played. And I think what I'm very much looking forward to is she's going to have her ideas from an there's going to be that Australian influence, which I'm really excited about, because I think the beauty of UK Survivor is when we talk about influences, we're going to have a melting pot of loads, because Australian Survivor is a lot more accessible. But then you're also going to have the die-hard fans that are going to know about the US versions. And there is differences. So when we see them all kind of mix and kind of create their own version, that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, absolutely. And with even the new era of US Survivor is completely different to pre season 40 of US Survivor. So the games are definitely different now more than ever. I think the exciting thing with Rach that I just want to applaud is one of the things that Rach did to prepare going into the season was practice throwing and catching. And I think that the idea of picking up a skill that we know is going to occur at some point in the series is something that is really important to do. And just having that mindset of, okay, I know I'm not, maybe I don't excel in this one area. I'm going to spend some time working on it and just tossing that ball every day with my loved one, just to make sure that I'm prepared to do it during the game.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see Rach play. When it comes to strategy, let me just find it real quick. I mean, says very competitive.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. She's a personal trainer, so she's going to have the physical side down. And to me, I think, I know I said I wasn't sure, but now thinking about it, I think she's got a lot of all-round things, because she's going to be physical and she's going to be strategic. She's going to know that there's going to have to be this strategic element. So I'm just hoping that she can be social enough, because again, she's going to be the youngest person on her tribe. like I said, she's one of only 2 people that are under 25, so she is going to have a lot more older influence. But I think she has a lot more Survivor knowledge than others, so I think that could serve her well.
I think so too. And something that is also very exciting is in her interview, she said her strategy was to be herself. We've covered that, but also to know her strategy. And then she
Yes.
says, "You'll have to tune in to find out more." And I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait, Rach."
That's actually what I remember. That to me was a mark of someone that is like, just watch what I can do. And I think that's good because you have a lot of people that are all show and they're all talk and no substance. Whereas Rachel's gone, do you know what? Watch the show and do what of it what you will. So I got my eyes on you, Rach. I'm looking forward.
All right, and let's move on to our next person. We have Ren. Ren is 28, and they are a network data scientist from London who loves the outdoors. So Ren is a super fan. Let's just get that out of the way. Ren, if there was a super fan on this cast, it's going to be Ren, and I think one more person who we'll get to as well. But Ren has watched the Australian series and immediately knew that this is something that they might enjoy. So I think we're going to see. This can go one of 2 ways for Ren, either very, very well or not so well, depending on. They said something in the interviews about talking about Survivor, right? Like
Yeah.
actively talking about Survivor to others on the tribe. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And the strategy for Ren is the most important thing is going into the game was to be themselves and to know. Oh, it didn't switch. Excuse me. Didn't switch. There we go. Now we're good. I was like, that's Rach.
I was going to say, I was like, be themselves. I was like, don't remember Ren saying that.
They didn't. So the goal here is to lay low until the merge and then show more gameplay later in strategy. What do you think of this?
Ren took my spot, and I'm saying that now because they were the super fan. I'm the super fan. No, to be fair, when I saw their things and they were like, I'm the super fan, I was like, that's who I was competing against. But no, again, as someone who is an absolute fan of the show, love them to pieces because I know that they're going to go on there and they're going to know exactly what Survivor is all about in all aspects, not just one. So hardcore rooting. But I agree with you in the sense of when they mentioned about, not being able to just not talk about Survivor. Because I think with this, because it's the reboot, I think if you show how much you know about the show, with Brits, I think that could get a target on your back. So I'm hoping that they didn't just kind of blurt out all of this Survivor knowledge, being like, here's all I know. And everyone turn around and go, you know a little bit too much. I'm hoping that didn't happen. I'm hoping their strategy of being able to lay low until merge works. But I think hearing that, I'm not sure. I pray.
Okay. Yes. And I should say, because I was all on the notes from the last person, Ren has been a fan of the show from a very young age. So I think
they were 14.
Yeah, exactly. Ren is ready. But there's some concern there. I mean, listen, the other thing that they did was 3D print those puzzles and get to
Hello,
working on it.
Carson.
I mean, this is going to be interesting because we'll see if this actually is a benefit. I mean, Survivor UK has been off the air for ages. I have a feeling that any of the puzzles or challenges that appeared in the first 2 series of the show, we'll see if they make it over into this iteration. They might not.
Yeah.
But what were the puzzles? The US versions, the Australian versions? There's a lot to study.
That's going to be the key because I think when you look at the aesthetic of what we've seen so far, there is a lot of Australian influence. When I look at the promo videos and I see what they've done, and I see a couple of the challenges, there are a couple of the challenges that I've seen, and I'm like, that's Australian Survivor. But then
Mm.
again, I've seen some of the challenges, and I've seen that they're the US Survivor. So again, it could go either way. It depends on what puzzles are there. But I mean, good move. Good move. Can't do it anymore though because of Carson, but well done.
Well, we'll see in this series. I think
Mm,
I know. I like that we have a super fan in Ren. I
yes.
think people are going to see them as an asset or see them as a someone who knows too much about the game and needs to go ASAP. So we'll see.
I'm just hoping they're able to show the British public how good Survivor is.
Yeah.
That's what my hope is, that they can show to the my thing's in the way. I'm hoping they can show to the British public how amazing this game is and show that enthusiasm that makes people want to apply, watch 20 more seasons, and yeah, that's what I hope.
Yeah, they also said that thing about uh, working out what other players want to see in a winner and then tailoring their game to fit that. So I am very curious to see
Mm.
how that plays out. Let's move on to our next person. We have Richard. Here comes Richard onto the
Richard.
screen. Richard, a man of few words, I would say, from
Mm.
these interviews. So
Yes.
I didn't get a lot out of here, which makes me not have a great feeling about Richard's placement overall, but we will see, right?
Yes.
We will see. He does say he always plays to win, so
Mm.
there's that.
Well, this is the thing. I know he's going to have resilience. I know he's going to have a lot of determination and willpower because he is an RAF reserve. So I know how hard. I have a friend. I know how hard they train. But yeah, I'm not sure. I am worried, but I'm hoping he can surprise people.
Me too. And he has like one level up of a strategy than some of the other people we've been talking about, where
Mm.
he says that he wants to play in the middle of the pack and look
Yeah.
for opportunities that he could use to his advantage, which is not far off from some of the other strategies that we've seen with some of the people who gave longer answers. He's just
Yeah.
saying, I'm going to look for my opportunities to turn the game in a favorable direction for me. So
Yeah.
if he could do that, I would be excited to see it. And he says he got from his experience on here, he learned a lot of resilience. So let's
Yeah.
see.
I'm excited. I'm hoping that he's able to find. I'm hoping that, and I'm going to say this correctly. Richard is one of those people that I think, from when you look at the players, he looks like someone that could be an easy kind of early target. But I think if he's able to find the ways of showcasing, hey, this is why you should keep me, then
Hmm.
I think he can do well. I think if he is able to integrate the strategy in to benefit him, oh, he could do really well. But either way, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, and he used a word that no one has used yet, and that is empathy. That's one of the
Yes.
things that he's going to bring with him into the game, and empathy is one of those things that I think goes a long way
Mm.
in a game like Survivor. Uh, it can also be used against you sometimes, as we've seen in the past. So I hope that brings him a long way. But next up, we got to talk about Sabrina, and here comes
Oh,
Sabrina.
oh.
There's Sabrina. An ultra marathon runner and charity founder. I mean, so it seems like Sabrina has done quite a lot and
Mm.
says that being on Survivor has hit at the right time. And sometimes timing is everything.
Yes. I I have high hopes for Sabrina. I think she's going to come in with a really bubbly energy. She again kind of similar to Leilani. She's the older woman. She's the oldest woman on her tribe. Um, and I think she could do well. I think she has this really lovely spirit, just even from her photo. Like, her photo's so happy. Um, and I think she's going to have a really good social game. I don't know what it is, but I think she's going to be able to really integrate with everyone well. And I mean, being an ultra marathon runner, endurance, stamina for days. So I think she's really going to be able to do well physically. So I think if she's able to get a good alliance, I think we could see her for a while. So I'm excited for her.
Yeah, I mean, definitely has built up that stamina for the game. And the thing that I am most nervous about when it comes to Sabrina is in response to what what her strategy was going to be in the game. She talked about not being seen as a threat and wanting to dull her personality.
Mm,
And using the word dull her personality, it almost makes me a little bit sad. Like I hope that
yeah,
we at least see Sabrina uh, as Sabrina is, right? Like I hope we get to
yeah.
see that. But she also said to be silent, and that makes me
Mm,
nervous about the chance of Sabrina becoming another target if those connections aren't made, right?
yeah.
There could be a situation where Sabrina maybe isn't the main target, but then somehow the main target flips the votes onto Sabrina, who has
Mm,
been quiet throughout all this.
mm,
So I'm hoping that we see, because again, this is sort of after the fact. I'm hoping that we see more of what Sabrina means by this in the edit
yes.
of the episodes, of like what this actually looks like. Is it just taking a step back and being unassuming, or like, like how is she going to navigate this? I'm really
Mm.
curious.
But yeah, I'm hoping that we get to see who she truly is, because just from the promo photo anyway, the cast photo, she seems so lovely. So I'm hoping we get to see that really joyous energy with her.
Yeah, and she says she's has had fun on the island, right? Like just had a good time and enjoyed it, and said that she felt like it was home. So
It's all
I
that matters.
again goes a long way, right? You don't have to go through this sort of shock of not having luxuries anymore. So it's really
Mm.
interesting. Okay, and also says to never change myself or dull my shine is something that she learned from the show. So again, but it plays into the fact that one of her strategies was to do that. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how that plays out.
Mm.
All right, next, let's move on to Shy. Here we
Ooh,
go.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
another fan of the
Yes.
show.
Yes. He seems like again, I think it was similar to Rach. He seems very athletic. He knows the game. And I think he just looks like the type that I think he's gonna be a dark horse. I think you're not gonna see him come in, and then he's gonna come up. But there was something that I did see in his little bio that did worry me. I'm just grabbing it up. Um, his strategy was to lay low at the beginning, not drawing any attention, and then try and seize control in the mid game, which it turns out is much easier said than done.
Hmm.
That's my little worry of, did he try and go too soon? But I think I'm still rooting for him. I'm really excited to see how he does.
Yeah, I caught that too. Something else that I caught, just on a humorous side, was saying that maintaining his hair was quite the process on the beach, and
Bless him.
maintaining my hair on a daily off a beach is difficult. So let's I get you. Okay. He says he's very competitive.
Mm.
Again, loves the game. I have him in my top 5. Again, my top 5, I'm not sure if they place 5th, but it's definitely someone who I'm paying attention to uh
Yes.
in the game, and I have high hopes, but you're right. Thank you for calling that out in the interview. Some hearing something like that is nervous, but it could also be, right? He could be successful. It just is literally easier said than done.
Yeah. That's the thing. We don't know. It's inconspicuous, but I do have him in merge. I do have him in merge. Whether that's early or late, because again, I think I currently put him in early just because of it turns out it's easier said than done. To me, that sounds like it put a target on his back, but I'm hoping it didn't. Again, it's all speculation, but I am rooting for him. He's in my top 5 of people I'm really rooting for. Um, but I'm excited for him.
Yeah, me too. And I think we should move on to our final player of the day, and that is Tinook. Here we
Tanuk.
go.
Yeah. I wasn't it's Tanuk.
A
Tanuk?
Tinook?
Yeah.
Okay,
Tanuk.
thank you.
Tanuki. Yeah. I'm hoping she'll tell us.
Again, it would be great if we could have maybe next season, maybe some interviews before the show so we can get some introductions from the players. I would
Hmm.
love that. I'm very, very excited to see her play. I think there are a lot of good things that I think we're going to get a nice mix from her in the game. Um, I want to hear more about her story. I mean, she's doing this for her late parents and wants to prove to herself that she is much stronger than she thought. And I'm curious to see. I mean, there's one thing in here that I want to talk about, but I want to talk about her
Mhm.
strategy first. But what are your thoughts?
She's my preseason pick.
Nice.
She is someone I don't know. I gravitated towards her right from the beginning. I mean, leopard print, love. Um, but just from reading her as like her bio, there was so much, and it even if like she turns out she's like first boot, there was just an energy. Even when you can read stuff and you feel the energy. And even in promos, there was this one shot, and it's everyone about to get ready to do the challenge, and they're all at the starting line, and you've got everyone really serious. She's just there like, and I was like, love. Um, and also, I've seen her online on Instagram. She has been very like posting like enthusiasm similar to Christopher. So I'm very excited for her. I really hope she does well. I would love to see her do well, just because she seems like she's got such a bubbly personality. So I'm very excited. Would also love to meet her.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I love the fact she wants to be the mediator of the group,
Mm.
right? She finds it's comfortable to be in that position. Um, Always up for a good laugh. Great call out to what we've seen of her so far in the promos. Just like what a great energy. I would love to be on a tribe with her. And listen, she's not to be underestimated because we
No.
see what she did to prepare for the game, read FBI interrogation and persuasion techniques, start getting some knowledge about body language. I mean, these are lived in the woods for 4 days to learn basic skills. Like, that's huge. I feel like she's gonna come in with a big leg up.
When we talk about people that prepared for the game, she prepared for the game.
Yeah.
And also, this has just reminded me, she was the, because you remember I mentioned someone had said something that brings me back to Lawrence. She mentioned in her strategy, and it's something that's really near and dear to my heart because it's something that I actually think is really key. She said that she wanted to find her ride or die, and I think that's so key. And I don't know what it is. She's got such a fun-loving energy. He's got such a fun-loving energy. I would love to see them be the ride or dies, just because I think that duo would be so funny to watch. Um, but yeah, in terms of preparation, she went above and beyond, so well done.
Yeah. Again, I think another person who's in my top 5 people, I cannot wait to see. Th
Mm.
This is gonna be an interesting cast. Again, we saw a lot of people here that haven't seen Survivor or are very unfamiliar with it, but then we see a handful of people who are sort of ready to take on the challenge of the game, have done their research, have spent 4 days outdoors camping to try to get used to it. This is Ollie, who would you say you have your eyes on going into this?
Oh, don't make me pick everyone.
Yeah, sorry.
Um, I love you all. Um, oh God, I don't know. There's loads of people for different reasons. I mean, Tanuki, Tanuki, she, Doug, um, Christopher Lawrence, just Pegleg. There's I don't. This is the thing. This is what I'm loving about this cast, and I think it also has to do with the fact that we are seeing the reboot. Anything can happen, but I think we have so many different dynamics that anything can happen, and I think that's what the joy of Survivor is for people that are super fans, like Ren. Um, Anything could happen, and all these twists and turns could happen, which is what I'm excited for. So I'm excited for all of them to bring it and to show the rest of the world that us Brits can play Survivor just as good, if not better, than the other versions. Just saying it.
Well, we're all going to find out this weekend when Survivor UK 2023 premieres. I hope you're all excited for it. Thank you so much for joining Ollie and I for this cast assessment. I think we're going to learn a lot more in those first couple of episodes about all of these players. Very excited, and we hope that you join us for more of our future recaps that we're all very excited about here at Survivor Now podcast. So make sure you subscribe to be notified when we review the episodes. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next time.